So these are the instructions for making pom-poms with the Clover Pom Pom maker. So I got this set and it comes with 4. Before we get started, I'm just going to show you how it works because it confused me at first. So there's 2 arms on one side and 2 on the other. And then there's this pin in the middle. So when you're done making a pom-pom, it'll pull apart. And then when you put it back together, that pin is still going to show just a little bit right there. It's one of those things that I was wondering if I was doing it right, so I just thought I'd show you right from the start. So just to show you how it works, I'm going to go ahead and pick a smaller one because it'll go faster. So you can see we have these 2 arms on one side. So I'm going to fold them out level like that. The other 2 can stay in. And then this on the bottom, I just call it a cleat. I don't know what it's actually called, but we're going to want to pay attention to that. So you don't have to tie the yarn on. You can just hold it with your finger and start wrapping. Okay, so as you wrap, you want to make sure that you're going kind of evenly along the maker, but always stay underneath. Like when we get to the side, we want to stay underneath these cleats right here. You don't want it to go over the top. So just wrap back and forth. You want to use reasonable tension, but you don't need to pull super tight. People always ask, how many times do you wrap it? This will completely depend on the type of yarn. I'm using just a basic, I don't know, inexpensive yarn. So you're going to wrap it till it gets about like that. So you're going to end up out here where the tip is. So now you're going to fold that in and then pull the other 2 up. Now you don't need to cut this. We're going to cut it later. So you're just going to cross right over to the inside and then repeat the process. Let me unwind some more yarn real quick. So what I like to do here is just keep an eye on how tall this is, and you want them to be fairly similar. So this one's a little bit thicker. So I'm just going to keep going. And that looks about right. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut that and fold it in like this. So now in the pom-pom maker, there's this groove. So you're going to want to keep your scissors fairly straight and just cut right through the groove and through all of the threads. And then you see that thread where it connected, that's when we're going to cut it. And don't let your pom-pom maker pull apart. Okay, so now we're cut all the way around. So now we're going to take another piece of yarn, about like that. You're going to slide it in this groove. And then you want to pull up on it pretty tightly so it's all the way around. Then you want to get this down in there really tight and then make a knot. Now, if you're going to hang your pom-poms from something, don't cut this off. Just kind of keep it out of the way. What I like to do here is just trim anything super long. You can see this is kind of even on the side here. It actually looks pretty good, but if you have any long pieces, you can give it a bit of a haircut. Okay, so now we're just gonna pull these arms on one side and then the other, and then pull that apart. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little shake. Just kind of fluff it out. And now you can see some spots that you can go along and trim it a little more round. Okay, so now you can use these to tie on. If you don't want them, just trim them in with the yarn and you've made a pom-pom. So another thing I wanted to mention is if you're making really big ones, if you use thicker yarn, it goes faster. And I've cut like 8-foot pieces of yarn, 3 of them, and I'll wrap all 3 pieces all at the same time on one side and then cut another 3 8-foot and do the other side, and it makes the wrapping go by a little bit faster. Okay, to demonstrate that, so I have 3 pieces. This is a much chunkier yarn, and I've cut them at 8 feet each. So I'm just going to hold the 3 together, pull these out, and then you have to kind of pull on these so they don't twist. Like that, and I would fold that in, and then I have 3 more pieces cut. Let's see, sorry, I'm getting these together here. So I have 3 more pieces at 8 feet. And you notice with the thick yarn, the same thing, you're watching all the time to make sure that you don't cross over. You don't want them to be over the top of that at all. Okay, so this is going to be a little harder to cut because it's so thick. So remember, try to hold it together, but don't cut your finger. Oh, that actually cut pretty nice. Okay. Find this a little easier to tie, so I'm using a skinnier one again. So now this one has some longer pieces, so this is when you can just use your maker as a guide. Start the trimming. This one. of the thicker yarn. Okay, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button.